The big issue tomorrow that we're expecting is the issue of taxation. That's where the Cabinet Secretary for the Treasury, Henry Rotich, is going to be telling us where the money is going to be coming from to pay for the trillions of shillings of government spending, or at least projected government spending. And it's a big issue because all this money eventually comes from you and I. If you think about it, the taxes that you pay on your income, the taxes that companies pay, which eventually they pass them on to the consumers by way of prices, all comes down to you and me. So we are paying for these trillions of shillings worth of government spending. And maybe that's a good place to bring in my guests. Familiar, they were here yesterday. Starting with you, Ashif, you're the mzee, so we have to give you due respect as our grand old man. But on a serious note, companies sometimes must be looking at these budget speeches with trepidation, thinking we're going to get hammered yet again. The government has got an increased spending appetite. Counties have got increased spending appetites. You have been telling us for the past couple of days about how the issue of debt repayment is going to be coming up. There's also interest to be paid. I think you spoke about a figure about 20%. All this stuff has to come from someone. The easiest person to reach is a company that comes and says, here is our profit, so here are the taxes you're paying to the government. Is it a companies looking forward to the budget?
I would answer it slightly differently. I think the Cabinet Secretary himself has said that we are not going to increase taxes. And the tax revenue that is coming up is going to be from the growth in the economy. My own sense is that we will not see an increase in the rate of corporation tax or personal tax. But I also don't see that we are going to adjust any of the reliefs that are given to employees. So despite the fact that we have inflation of 5 or 10%, it took nearly 15, 20 years to adjust the last relief in the last budget. So what is happening is that in Kenya, you start getting taxed at the highest level as an individual when your income is only 36,000 shillings. Okay, and that's a very low level of income when you look at the inflation. So the issue is that while we don't expect any change in tax rates, we are already taxed at a very high level, at the highest level at a very low level of income. And that's something that, if you look at other countries, okay, probably the first $1,000 or $2,000 of your income, so 100 to 200,000 shillings
Per year, though?
Per annum, per month,
Per month.
Is what is taxed at the higher level. Okay, and you're given enough relief. So the first, 30, 40,000 shillings of income is not taxed. And the reason is that you need that much income to make a basic living.
But I find it slightly problematic for you to tell us, in as much as these promises have been made by the Cabinet Secretary, by the Principal Secretary as well, I think earlier this week, that they don't expect that taxes will go up. There is a square to be circled, right? There's a huge appetite by the government to spend. And this is not even counting waste and corruption and everything, just sheer stuff that they say they have to do. And you and I are demanding every single day for more and more and more government services. These services are getting more expensive. We have borrowed a great deal of money and we need to repay it. How is it possible for someone to sit there with a straight face and say, we're not going to increase tax rates, we're not going to increase the rate of taxation? Plus, like we were saying, I think it was yesterday, you have a huge amount of people in the formal employment who have been laid off. So that tax revenue is not going to be coming at all. Companies are making less money by way of profit, and you're taxed on profits. If you're not making profits, then the government cannot tax you. How do you expect to square that circle?
Okay, so the one area that they are already built into the Excise Duty Act is every year from 1st of July, your excise duty or what you pay as form of excise duty already goes up based on the inflation. Okay, so
it tracks inflation directly?
It tracks. It takes the annual average inflation and it automatically increases all prices. So excise duty is going to go up. Okay, and that is not something that he has to announce. It's just automatic within the Excise Duty Act. VAT rate, I personally don't think that there is an appetite to increase it. The reason that, because the taxes are not increasing, okay, what is happening is that our borrowing is increasing. So that's how our budget is being financed. And as I said yesterday, because our borrowing is increasing and majority of the borrowing, if you look at it, the foreign borrowing less the repayment is nearly coming to a nil situation. But if you look at the local borrowing, it is every year going up by 250 to 350 billion. Okay? And what is happening is that the government is now competing with the private sector, for borrowed money. And when government is paying anywhere between 8 to 10%, 11% on treasury bills, and probably 12.5, 13.5 on treasury bonds tax-free, some of the infrastructure bonds are tax-free, you're actually crowding out the SME from borrowing. Okay.
So where will growth come from? I tend to be insistent on that fact because every single thing that the government is doing is predicated on the economy growing. So we'll have a growing economy, corporations will make more money, there'll be more people in employment who can pay taxes. But if you're saying this is actually being squeezed, companies live on credit, don't they?
So my own sense is, I find that the 6% projected growth for 2016, 2017, and 2017, 2018 is on the higher side.
It's unrealistic. Just say
It's not realistic.
Thank you.
I think it's not realistic. In fact, my own sense is that if we remove the infrastructure spending and we look at the real growth in the economy, okay, because SGR and other things are adding to this, to our total growth. And if you remove that component of growth and we really look at the real growth, I personally think it's going to be 3 to 4%.
Sachan, you work directly with companies.
Yes.
They're your clients, they're the people you sit across the table from every day, except when you're sitting across the table from me. And they must be telling you certain things. I'm not asking you to reveal any secrets, corporate secrets, but surely there must be some sort of sentiment that they're expressing with regard to the growth of the economy and with regards to tomorrow's budget. What are they saying?
Well, okay, maybe we should take a step back and accept some cross-cutting issues across various sectors. They've always said that they're facing a cash crunch in the economy. Obviously,
this is corporations.
This is corporations. They're facing a cash crunch. And that's actually stifling them from being able to expand further. Okay? So that's one of the second thing, we're noticing that many of them are complaining about dumping of products, imported products in our market, making them less competitive. So regionally, they're complaining about dumping of the imported products, and their exported products are becoming an issue. So they're not very competitive in the market at the moment. Now, obviously, we don't have numbers to verify this. Like I said, this is just what they've been talking about. And power outages is another issue. Although the government has spread forward, has invested in increasing the power capacity, they're still complaining about power outages. It's something that we need to address.
All right, we have our two guests for quite a while today discussing this issue. One of the things we want to get into is the East African community. When we talk about exports not necessarily growing as they should. But for now, we want to take a break. We're coming back with Sachan and with Ashif regarding the budget that's going to be read tomorrow.